Hi everyone, this is Dawn, and this is part 22 of our ongoing retreat. The title of this week's session is Jesus Heals His Disciples' Blindness. So last week one of the stories, and again this week will be another story of Jesus healing a person's blindness, but we're challenged to see how, as he walks towards Jerusalem, he actually is trying to help heal the disciples' blindness, and in the same way heal our own blindness. And so we'll use 3 scripture readings this week to sort of set the tone and to really live through this. I have created a handout that I'll link to this video. And there are the 3 readings are listed on here. You can click on them or look them up in your own Bible. You really want to know them pretty well. You can use various ways to pray with the scripture. Imagine yourself in the scene. Use some Lectio Divina. And so throughout the week, concentrate on knowing those scriptures well, so that as you begin each day, you can begin by thinking about what part of this you're really going to focus on, and inviting God to be with you. And each morning for a very brief time, just maybe as long as it takes to put your feet in your slippers, remind yourself of the focus for the day. And ask to be able to see Jesus more clearly, to love Jesus more deeply, and to serve him in a better way. And so, as I mentioned, this week we're on the way to Jerusalem. And now, living all these thousands of years later, we know what's going to happen. But as especially you read those scriptures and you think about what would it have been like, you hear Jesus saying how he's going to be suffered, persecuted, and die. Like, well, I don't think so. I think we'll just talk about the kingdom more and like who's greatest and the very human side of all of us, how we tend to fall into that instead of being present to what God is saying to us and inviting us to join him in this journey, whatever our journey is. Let's see. It should be easy this week to let these reflections interact with your everyday life. Every experience you come up against, every challenge, every confrontation, every resistance, if somebody's lying, any cruelty, all of this bring into your prayer and be able to see your journey to be able to link it with Jesus's. God calls Jesus to make this journey to Jerusalem, to not hold back. And God promises Jesus that he will fall into the hands of a loving God, but along the way, he has to let go of anything he's holding on to. Jesus himself has to say yes to this journey. And so as you watch him and you think about his journey and his becoming more and more vulnerable, and bring that into your own life. What are you holding on? What have you absorbed with that is preventing you from walking the journey that God is inviting you to? And as I said, whenever you encounter a dark moment in your life this week, relate it to that journey that Jesus was walking. Be sensitive to times this week when you find yourself saying, I don't want to, or it's too hard, or it's not fair, or maybe even better, how can I avoid this? Each of those moments, look back to these scripture readings, knowing where Jesus is going. You can look for experiences of competition and places where, when it's talking about the 2 disciples who are arguing over who's going to be greater, what does that look like in your own life? Where do you run up against those? And the struggle about how can you be a servant? That in these scripture readings, Jesus says that he is here to be a servant. And so do you fight that inclination in yourselves, thinking that you're better or all of those things? Only you can come up with this. This is a journey each one of us is on independently. So this week shouldn't take more time than it's been taking to let this play in your own life. It might require more attention. I guess that's probably it. So just be attentive to what's happening, and each evening as you get ready to go to bed, recall the movements and reflections and insight of the day. Thank God for them. I think I haven't really talked about it, but thanking God is probably the most important part of this. Thanking God for showing you these pieces along the way. Without gratitude, everything falls apart. So if you're struggling with at the end of the day, how to thank God, just sort of tell God what you saw that day, and then just say, thank you for showing me that. Because I'm sorry to say, it's not your own. You're not doing this under your own power. It is only through the grace of God that you've been able to walk these past 22 weeks. This week is about wanting to be able to say to Jesus, Jesus, I want to know you. Jesus, I want to love you. Jesus, I want to serve you. That is what we're trying to do. No, that is hopefully what is being grown in us as we walk through these all of these weeks. It's that to know, to love, and to serve. This week, you might want to investigate, that's my word, to investigate different ways that will help you on this. Images and gestures, they can help in this week and these coming weeks that are harder. They're not necessarily the fuzzy, feel-good weeks. It's the path, the walk to Jerusalem. And so, do you have a cross or a crucifix in your house? Maybe it's a little dusty. Well, move it somewhere where it's visible. If you don't have one, maybe purchase one, or you don't have the funds, cut one, make one. Just use twigs or cut something out of. You can make it happen. And then put it somewhere where you'll see it all the time. In this week and the week after. To remind you what this is about and to call you back to this journey. Also, gestures you may want to, as you pray, sit with open hands. And in your prayer, tell God that you are open to hearing His will, to cooperating with His grace. Open hands symbolizes being open. You could just pay attention to how you're praying. Are you with tight fists? What is your posture like? All of this will help you along the way if you think about it. And it gives God another way to help you hear Him and to hear His voice. So I think that's it for today. May you come to know Jesus, to love Jesus, and to serve Jesus. Have a good week.